Corporate bonds. Bonds are important to a corporation and often an option for raising capital. By issuing bonds, a company can raise capital without diluting shareholder equity. Oftentimes, corporations can issue bonds at lower interest rates than they would pay borrowing from financial institutions. By issuing bonds, corporations can also eliminate banks from being the middlemen in transactions. Issuing bonds also gives company greater freedom to operate as they see fit in lieu of restrictions that are often attached to loans from banks and financial institutions. Let's take a look at bonds versus stocks and how that works. When a company issues stocks, they are granting a proportional ownership of the company to an investor in exchange for their money. This money does not have to be repaid. With bonds, money is paid back over time with interest. And the issuance of bonds has no effect on ownership of the company. The money is eventually paid back over time with interest. And the issuance of a bond has no effect on the ownership of a company. A couple of bond basics. Every bond has a face value. This is the nominal value or the dollar value of the bond. In other words, this is the amount that's paid to the bond holder or investor at maturity. Typically, they're done in increments of $1,000. The coupon of a bond is the amount of interest paid to the owner of the bond, and it's expressed in terms of an interest rate. Maturity is the length of time the issuer will pay interest and also the time they will pay back the face value of the bond. Bonds are typically referred to as a fixed income security. Lenders can anticipate the exact amount of cash they will receive if the bond is held until maturity. Let's say you purchase a $1,000 face value bond with a 5% coupon and it matures in 10 years. This means that you'll receive $50 of interest each year for 10 years, and at the end of 10 years, the bond face value will be repaid to you. Similar to when a company issues stocks, when companies issue bonds, they must produce a prospectus. The prospectus gives the details of the bond offering, including the company's obligation. It's considered a formal contract. Corporate bonds pay coupons every 6 months. They pay interest semi-annually. Corporate bonds can be sold at a discount. If you have a bond with a par value of $1,000, you could actually purchase that bond for $900. Corporate debt through bonds can either be secured by corporate assets or they can be unsecured. Unsecured bonds are called debentures. They're a type of unsecured debt with maturities of 10 years or longer. Bonds will often have covenants that will restrict the company from actions that might negatively impact their ability to repay the bonds. With interest rates so low, many investors turn to junk bonds to generate income. Junk bonds are high-yielding bonds that pay interest rates. They're typically issued by companies with lower credit ratings and undependable cash flows. There are times when bonds are issued by companies with no intention to pay back the bond. Luke 6:31 will tell us that we should do unto others as we would want done to ourselves. Companies often offer junk bonds and issue them with no intention to pay back, and often they'll claim that the investors should have known that they were investing in risky instruments. Regardless, knowingly taking advantage of anyone is wrong and shouldn't be part of any business practice.